Hey guys, what's going on today? Welcome back to the channel. So today's going to be part 2 of diagnosing, kind of looking into that 6.7 Cummins that I bought with the knock in it. Basically going to go through a step-by-step of tearing the engine out. So I've trailered home from work now. We're in my garage at home. So yeah, we'll bring her on in and get started. Couldn't hear the knocking in the other video. It's pretty easy to hear in this one. All right guys, so it's actually the next day now. After I pulled the truck in, ended up going over, helping my brother diagnose a starting issue with the 4th gen that he bought. And then after that, ended up grabbing a truck from my buddy. He's got a pretty quick, pretty cool truck. Not many people build 6.4s. I'll do a video on it while I have it. I'm gonna be driving it this whole week and then taking it to a dyno day. It should make some pretty good numbers. But yeah, I got a bit of time now, so let's start tearing into this red truck. First things first, a little bit of energy. All right guys, so first thing we're gonna start with taking the bumper off. We're gonna take the rad out, the intercooler out, flip the AC condenser to the side, take this support bar for the hood out, and that'll give us access to the front of the engine. I'm not sure. I might pull the head off separately. Just, you know, it's gonna come off anyway. Normally I wouldn't. I just pull the whole engine out as an assembly, but maybe for video purposes, we'll do something like that. That way you guys can see what it's like to pull the head off a 6.7 as well. But, oh, I had these headlights. They're just Amazon specials, but they're kind of cool. And I actually had some brand new LEDs as well on the shelf, so threw those in. But you know, step one's gonna be disconnecting the batteries and draining some coolant out, and yeah. All right guys, so I got the intercooler and stuff out. I kind of want to make this video like a pretty decent walkthrough where maybe it can help somebody in a situation like this just kind of know every single thing they need to take off. So with the hood support, I just started with, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, those 13 mils. There's the 2 10 mils that hold the hood latch on. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 13 mils that hold the condenser to the intercooler. There's a 10 mil here, a 10 mil on the back side, and same on this side. And that's what holds your intercooler to your rad. As far as stuff running across here, you have your battery feed cable that comes across, goes to this positive post and the back of the alternator. You undo that, flip it over. You have this coolant overflow that runs across. It goes to the reservoir over there. And then for disconnecting the washer line that runs across, there's a little connection. You can see it right there where you can undo it. You don't have to cut it or anything. Then you got your 11 mil clamp there, and your other intercooler pipe runs through there. The 11 mil clamp at the turbo, that broke, but that's fine, I have many. Now, anyone that's familiar with the 3rd gen, especially one that's never been apart before, it has these bumper brackets and the bolts run through this way, which is fine for getting to the nuts on either side. However, you have to have the intercooler out to be able to slide this bracket out because they're attached together right there. So now that the intercooler's out, I can take the bumper off and give me some more working room. Besides that, the only other thing I took off was the cold air. On a factory cold air, it'll be pushed into these 2 grommets here, and then it'll use this stud with, I believe, an 8 mil on it. You take the clamp off the turbo, you take this plug and this plug, this plug and this plug here off. And then if it still has a CCV on it, the line that runs up to the CCV, and then 1 10 mil bolt right there. You can take the whole air box out then. Now obviously, since I'm at home in the garage, I have no way of discharging the AC. Not a big deal. Rubber lines, you have enough slack to flip it out of the way. And then when we get there, what I'll do is I'll unbolt the compressor, but all the lines can stay on. That's not a big deal. So you don't have to worry about doing shady stuff like discharging it to the atmosphere and whatnot. So next steps are gonna be unbolting the power steering cooler, the trans cooler, upper rad hose, lower rad hose, which I usually take off the block side. And then basically we can lift the rad out. Really the only thing you need to be careful with when lifting the rad out is there's 2 lines right there, and where they sit is actually pretty sharp. You can very easily poke a hole. You know, if you get all Wreck-It Ralph with it and are wheeling on it, you can easily poke a hole in the coolant reservoir, which you obviously do not want to do. Besides that, yeah, I'm gonna take the bumper off. It's just those, I believe they're 3/4, 4 3/4. There's a plug underneath here that you undo, that's for the fog lights. And the only other thing I did was drain the coolant. There's a spigot on that side of the rad. All you need to do, turn that, pop the rad cap off, and she'll start to pour out. So hopefully my time-lapse area that I'm filming is semi-decent. I might move the camera onto the hood. That way you're just not getting the back of my head the entire time, because nobody really wants to look at that. But yeah, let's get to it. Guys, so see the rad is out now. Yeah, all you have to do, like I said, boot at the top there, and right there on the engine, if this will focus, right there. You can leave the fan and the shroud in. You kind of, what you do with the rad is lift it up and then push the bottom in a bit this way, because there's tabs on it for mounting the power steering cooler, and they will hit this cross member. But besides that, that's really it. I don't know, it might be hard to tell in the time lapse how long it took, but I kind of take my time when I lift the rad up. I tilt it this way. I'm just trying to drain as much coolant out as possible and not make a mess, basically. Try and work as clean as possible, basically, and it's not like this is a billable job, so you know, nice to take the time to do it. Also, sometimes when I'm at home, I really miss some of the tools I have at work, like for taking spring clamps off, or I'm gonna bring my fan tool, the removal tool, home to take that off, because I'm not gonna bash on a wrench. Just, you know, if I have the tool, I may as well use it. Our next steps basically are gonna be removing the fan shroud, removing the fan, This truck is deleted, but they just left the cooler and everything on. So basically, we live in Alberta. Throw that in the garbage, you know. This is in Ontario, so you can get rid of that junk. So yeah, I'm trying to make these videos like break it up into kind of 10-minute segments. That way you don't have to sit there and listen to me ramble on for like half an hour. So kind of make it into like a little series, you know, 10 minutes at a time. And like I said, just kind of focus on all the steps that you need to do this job. That way, maybe someone that's not super mechanically inclined is not afraid to tackle this job. Yeah. Also for the bumper brackets, you can get a gun in there with a swivel. Depending on how strong your 3/8 gun is, it might take it off. Like my Milwaukee one will. I have an older Snap-on one here that wouldn't, but also I just kind of struggled a little bit, did it by hand because it is 1:48. I guess technically Tuesday now, and I'm trying not to be too loud. I do live in town, so the Milwaukee 3/8, even if I had it here, is pretty loud, and my 1/2-inch gun is definitely very loud. So trying not to piss off any of the neighbors. Last thing for tonight, just take the fan shroud off. Got your 13, your 13, your 13, and your 13, and then you have to unplug this plug right here for the fan, and then that just kind of slips on out of there, and you can get the shroud out. Like I said, next thing, taking the fan off. Obviously want to leave the belt on there to help hold it in place, because if you take the belt off, it really sucks to take the fan off. That about wraps it up for tonight, guys. Thanks for watching part 2 of my video. Part 3 will be incoming. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bedtime? It's time to go to bed? Shooter, it's time to go to bed? It's bedtime? Yeah, let's go to bed.